Hey Facebook friends, how are you guys doing? Looks kind of dark out here. Anyway, so I was talking to a good friend of mine, Angel Lopez. How you doing, my brother? And hopefully you and your wife and family is doing okay. I was talking to him about the show that I just did, part one, two, and three, from online dating to this step in marriage. And he brought to my attention about somebody he knew, and I thought he asked me to see if I can talk about this subject, and I made it a part four. Um, hey, sweetie, how you doing? This part four is off of a request from one good friend of mine, and that is the relationship after divorce. So you've been married, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. You got a divorce, and then that process into part one, but this is technically for those of us who have been divorced. This is actually the first stage, believe it or not, before you get into part one of my videos. If we can deal with this part, then you'll be able to get back on. So yeah, so let's talk about the relations after divorce. I have it on the board. I'm gonna just talk to you just for a second. When we talk about divorces, the one thing I really want you guys to clearly understand, and that is this. It doesn't matter if you have a marriage license or if you're living with someone 6 months, year, 5 years, it doesn't matter. In both cases, the only difference is the marriage has a marriage license. The psychology of the separation, which we call divorce, okay? It is a separation. In the psychology of it all, they're both equal. You can live with someone for 6 months and have the same emotion, the same psychology effect as someone who has been or has a marriage license. The good side of it, if there is a good side, is when you separate, there's no divorce, there's no courts, all of that. But unfortunately, the psychology of it is the same. So in saying that, let me just say this. We cannot take it lightly on getting divorced. When you go through a divorce, from that divorce moment, there's a process before you get back on the horse, as they say. You know, you get kicked off the horse, get back on. So that's what I really want to talk to you today about, the process of it, and then you determine for yourselves, if you haven't already, determine for yourselves if you're ready to get back online and start that process all over. All right, let me put this down and let me go to the board right quick. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to use this as a visual. So they were married for 5 years. They dated for 6 months before the marriage. And in all marriages, look, guys, everyone has good times and bad times. Everyone has a good time in the very beginning. And of course, everyone is going to have a bad time later on down the life. But at the end of the day, time will dictate and you guys will give back and have a good time. But unfortunately, something happens in all relationships who go through divorces, and a lot of times it's financial. A lot of times, maybe reverse. So a lot of time it is financial. A lot of times is boredom, which we talked about in the last video. We talked about sexuality. We talked about a whole lot of things. But at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, when you guys go through a divorce, it's at that process. So let's go into the board again. So it's at that process. So we talked about marriage versus living together. They're equal. I'm going to outline this and then I'm going to go and sit down and talk about it. Pain. We got to talk about pain. And then in pain, this little section here, you go through a revenge, emptiness, and then you get scared. Then you have fear. Then you do a comparison. Then you go through a trust issue. And so we're just going to outline that. But in doing that, let me talk about the brain, because I'm back and forth with the brain side of it. So there's 3 parts. There's a reptilian side of it. There's the limbic system, and then there's the neural cortex. The internal brain is the reptilian. That's where we have the fear, the run, and the mate position. The next layer right there is the limbic system. This is where all of our emotions are. And then the outer brain that everyone is familiar with, that's the neural cortex. That's where we store up stories. Okay. In this part right here has a lot to do with that part right there. All right, gang. So I have to say I've been divorced. The friends I know have been divorced. People I'm associated with has been divorced. And this is a topic that not too many people like to talk about, because if you don't understand it, the divorce and afterwards, you're just bound to repeat it. So let's talk about it. The pain. Yes, it's a pain to get a divorce or a separation. Everyone tries not to separate. I promise you, everyone tries. But when it comes to separation, you get to a point where at least one of them says, I have to go. There's just various reasons, but they're forcing the separation, or you agree to the separation, but there's a separation. The pain of that separation is due to the fact of the connection. Now, the last video I talked about that relationship. Your whole world is wrapped around that, and for it to be taken or separated, it is a very painful situation. No different in pain as if you was to get a surgery. Then there is some of you ladies and guys, right, have revenge. That revenge in some cases sends you guys on a party binge, if you will. You're going to go out to the club. You're going to go out there, and ladies, you're going to look sexy. Ladies, you're going to do things that you probably are going to regret later on in life. Guys going to do the exact same thing. No pity, no sympathy, no nothing. Just go out there and just be, for lack of better wording, a dog, and bitch for female side of it. So you're going to have that process, and that's normal. That is absolutely normal. If you're in that process and you're ready to get out of that process, let me just simply say this: stop. Because this is in a revenge position. This is not your natural self. A lot of people that I have known personally, I have known through counseling, a lot of people is stuck in this position of revenge, and they're out there smiling with drinks and having a good time, but in their heart, they're not, they can't let it go. And if you don't let that go, you're just going to get locked in that system. From that revenge position, you some of you will say, all right, I'm through with this lifestyle. I'm done. I've done enough to hurt my body, my spirit, my soul, and I'm needing to leave. Then you're going to start feeling empty. You're going to feel empty because when you have all of this attention, right? You were married. It was just you and them, small friends. But now you went out and you got revenge. You went out and you did your thing, and there was a lot of attention, a lot of movement, and a lot of this and that and the other. And then all of a sudden you said, I'm done with that lifestyle. I'm going to come back. Then you're going to feel empty, and that emptiness could lead into a mild, if not to the point of clinical depression. That is, I have to say, is normal. When you feel empty because of the divorce, because of the separation, and because of that certain lifestyle, and now you're trying to get your life back together, it is absolutely normal to feel empty. Now, some of you have go through that emptiness, and now you're just thinking, I need to get back out. I need to do some friends. But you don't do that because you're scared. That's the next part of the pain. Scared. When you're scared of doing something, it's that reptilian position in your brain that simply says that this is a good person, but I don't want to get with that good person because I'm just got destroyed over here in this lifestyle. And prior to that lifestyle, I went through a bad divorce, or even if it was a good divorce, it's still a bad divorce because it's a separation. And so some of you may run into a good person, and then at the end of the day, you're scared of that position of getting serious. And by right, you have every right to be scared because you're just fresh out of the divorce. Now, when I say just out of, I'm talking about 6, a year, 5, sometimes even longer. People go through that cycle of pain for a long time. Revenge, they get locked into that. Emptiness, they get locked into that. Scared, they get locked into that. So if you're not scared, what is scared? Okay, so you got somebody, you met someone, and you say, I'm there. Your brain says, I don't need to run from them. That's the reptilian complex. I don't need to run from them. They're really good. I don't need to fight them. Sex, they're attractive. Yes, they're attractive. I'm still human. I still have hormones, right? Then that once you get past that reptilian brain, then that emotion kicks in. That emotion is where it kicks in, where you get scared, that fear, that anxiety, all of those things kick in. And then from that position, you'll say, and then from the neural cortex, that story, you'll make up a story why this good person, you're not going to get with this good person, because that's where the story making up. It comes from being scared. And then very close behind that is fear. See, scared is a simple form of the pain part of it. But the bigger part of it is called fear. And that's why I have it in C. Fear will stop a lot of you from having a good relationship after the divorce. Now, why is it fear? Because it is a process of getting married. From meeting someone, in the example that I have up here, for 6 months they were together and they liked it, and that cycle was going up and they were loving each other. Then they got married, and then for 5 years they went through that cycle, and then they got divorced. Fear says that whole process hurts. I don't want to do that again. So if you get somebody you may like, you're not going to commit to them, because that reptilian brain, the limbic system, has an emotion, and a lot of times our emotions are negative. And then from that emotion, you're going to have and make up stories. And from those stories is the reason why your past is still your present. But some of you will address your fears. Some of you will say, you know what? Yes, I'm afraid, but this person is a good person. Or, yes, I'm afraid, but I'm going to go back out there and I'm going to see. After all, we got 1 billion people out there, and we got social media, and we got online dating, and I'm going to touch at least a couple of million of them to find one good one, right? And so you're going to look at fear in its face, and you're going to go out there and you're going to do your thing, okay? And when you do your thing and you go out there, the next thing is when you find someone. When you find someone, you're going to start comparing them to your ex. That's normal. That's absolutely normal, because a lot of us had a great time in our marriages. I did. I'm sure a lot of you did also. When you were married, you had a good time, had a lot of good times. And so you want to repeat those good times. And so you're always looking at this person and saying, well, can this person give me the exact same thing as that person? And if they can't give me that good, that's comparing. Don't compare. This new person is not your old person in any way. And this is where it gets kind of, in the psychology and the therapy side, gets kind of funny, because triggers, you start getting triggered a lot in the comparison stage. Be mindful. Look at this person that you have right now. Look at the person you're considering. Look at the person that you're going to find later down in life. Look at them for who they are, and then who you are. Everyone has been hurt from 16 years old to 99. So when you look at someone in front of you, when you have someone in your life that's a new somebody, look at them for who they are. If you're talking to someone new, look at them for who they are. If you're considering someone down the line and you're doing on social media and you're looking out there, keep looking, keep going, keep pushing. But look at them for who they are. Do not compare your ex to the one that you have right now or going to have. Then that last part, trust. That is ultimately the biggest hurdle to get over. And this is probably why I will always say, in the very beginning, if it flows, let it flow. Just let it flow. Eventually things are going to happen. You're straight line happy, then all of a sudden it's going to dip. It's that dip, right? When you're in your that new relationship, it's that dip is where you build trust. Not up here, not in the flat line, good time. I just met you, we're having a great time. There's no trust there. We ain't gone through nothing. It's happy time. But when we start dipping, that's when we're going to start trusting. Can I trust you? Do you trust me? And I'm looking at you for who you are. And so I'm judging you and I'm coming to a conclusion of who you are during this dip. That's where trust builds. So when you meet someone new and you have someone in your life already, or you're getting ready to meet someone new, do not talk about trust. Look at them for who they are, the comparison side. Only start looking for the trust when you guys start to have a little discomfort, a little arguing, a little this, a little that, right? When it starts dipping, the relationship from happy to dip, that's when I want you to pay attention. Are they trustworthy, right? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people will revert back to the fear. They will revert back to the compromising. They will come up with new stories. They won't go through the trust. And so when you go through the trust, if you find someone, and if you're getting someone, or if you're still looking for someone, when you go into that deepness, you first need to be aware, can they trust me? And then I need to know, can I trust them? If you go through that and you can find a good person that you trust, I guarantee you it's going to come back up. Give it time, 6 months, a year, I don't know. It can be, my dad met my my stepmother 5 days later. They were married 27 years. Who knew? Right? It's just when you know, you know. So when you get someone and you know, and you make up your mind, I'm going to do this. I'm going to let the past be the past. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's going to work. We're going to make it work. That trust will come and it will be tested. Prove yourself, prove each other, the couple, the relationship, and then I guarantee you it comes back out. All of everything else that I'm not talking about, I really want you to go back into my videos, part 1, 2, and 3. Review those or look at those. Because once you get past trust, you're at that stage of part 1 or part 2. Okay? The part 2, I think, is the ring stage, the promise and the engagement. Part 3 is the actual remarrying part. But again, just don't quit. So marriage separation, there is hard. You're going to go through a pain part of it, revenge, emptiness, and you're scared. That's fine. That's normal. Go through it. Come out of it. You're going to fear. Absolutely normal. Go through your fear. Get over your fear. Stop comparing yourself, that person, to someone else, and start trusting. But your trust can only be tested when it goes down. So a relationship after divorce, for all of us, has to go through that part. If you can make it through that part, I guarantee you, if you find someone compatible, I guarantee you, hold on to them. a divorce or a separation is extremely hard, but go through that cycles. Let them prove themselves. Okay? All right. Until next time, this is Dr. Bagley. Have a great day. And if nothing else, we'll talk very soon. Bye-bye.